Russos brand family. We are family.
Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, Prince Edward Drum and Mercedes, welcome to the latest edition of Inspired with Christopher. And with that said, these past few weeks have been kind of crazy nuts, and they've been kind of eye-opening for me. Just want to say to everybody out there, thank you so much for your patience, thank you so much for your support, and thank you so much for your love. Because I'll be frank and honest with you guys, I've been going through a very bad batch of depression lately. So basically, all I've been doing is I've been working, I've been taking care of my family, and basically all I've been wanting to do is sleep. So, I mean, if you guys struggle with depression, just think to yourself and remember you're not alone. Um, because just this whole thing with like my mom passing away back in January, it's been extremely difficult for me. And it's crazy because I have my weeks where like my weeks and like my days where like I'm doing perfectly fine, and then like there's weeks and days where I'm just completely blown out of the water with depression. So I just want like to let everybody know out there that I have not stopped recording, that I'm still here, but I've just been going through like a lot emotionally. So like with that said, I hope to give you guys a good show tonight. There's like a lot of things that I've been thinking about. There's a lot of things I've been observing, and something I did want to something I did want to talk about tonight that God's kind of put on my heart is the fact of us as people going out of our way for others, even when people don't deserve it. And what I mean by that is that there's times where certain people like they constantly screw you over, like they constantly are mean to you, they are ill towards you, and they are just flat out bad, and they don't deserve it, but because you're a good person, you still go that extra mile for them. The God honest truth is that we are called to do that. I know it ain't right sometimes, and I know like your human nature is telling you, God, I want to strangle this person. God, I want to choke this person. Or God, I wouldn't piss on them if they were on fire. But Jesus could have done the same exact thing and said, well, we've all screwed up, we've all sinned, and we don't deserve to be saved. But he still did it for us. So that's my encouragement for you guys. Because for me personally, the God honest truth is that I have a brother-in-law named Adam that lives with me. And he's not the easiest person to get along with. He's not the easiest person to deal with. Because, like, the God honest truth is that due to the way that he was raised, he's not a very motivated person. He's not a person that's going to get up, go out, and do whatever it takes to make sure he's taken care of, and like to make sure that he has a roof over like his head, or food on his, or food in his stomach, or or clothes on his back. So basically, for the past 8.5 years, me and my wife, we've been having to foot the bill for him. We've been having to pay for him, and we've been having to basically tolerate him simply because he's family. And now, like, the thing is that he's not he's not all bad, okay? Because like the God honest truth is that if it wasn't for Adam, I would never been able to see my daughter born on time, because he was the one that drove and picked me up from work right before like my wife had her C-section. Okay, he's the one that did that. He's been very good with the kids. When it comes like to watching them, like feeding them sometimes, him taking care of them, in those ways. But whenever it comes to things like working, that's not that's not like his strongest attribute, I guess you could say. So So, like, a lot of you are thinking to yourself, all right, well, yes, it's okay to go out of your way for somebody, but what if it gets to the point where they start taking advantage of you and you're basically shooting yourself in the foot by enabling them? Okay? That could be true to a certain extent, but you have to do what you know is right. You have to do what's good in your heart. Um, as because I know for me and like my wife, a few weeks ago we went to like the car wash. There was this gentleman that came up to me, like a homeless gentleman, and he said to me, "Hey, I'm gonna be straight up honest with you. I'm down on my luck. I'm a drug addict. He was a heroin addict, but he said to me that I'm hungry, that I'm not asking for your money, but I'm asking for something to eat." So the first human instinct that we have is, all right, this guy is trying to, do something like to try to pull something over on me. But God kind of took over there, and God said to me, hey, that's your fellow brother. Because, like, the way that we should all see it is that we are all one giant family here on earth. We are all brothers and sisters. We should see it from that perspective. Because if we did, this world would be in a lot better shape than what it is. So basically what happened was, like, that gentleman came up to me. He poured his heart out to me saying, hey, man, I'm a homeless heroin addict and I'm hungry. Can you help me? So I did the godly thing. I took him to like the grocery store because there was a grocery store that was right across the street from the car wash that we were at, and and I got him a sandwich, I got him a drink, and I got him like a bag of chips and some macaroni salad, and and it's crazy what those good deeds can lead to. Because little did I realize, but me doing that for him, that opened up a wonderful conversation with this gentleman, which I got the backstory to why he struggles with drug addiction, why he's homeless. And it's simply due to the fact that the boy, he grew up in a very, very abusive household. Like, the boy was sexually, like, man now, obviously, but he was sexually abused as a child, physically abused as a child, verbally abused as a child, emotionally abandoned by his parents. They basically told him growing up that you're never going to amount to anything. So basically, he really had nobody growing up. He didn't have those people there, like, to help set the foundation for him to build like his life upon, because that's what parents are for. That's crucial, that's essential. And it's crazy because I felt that for him, and I knew that if my parents didn't go out of the way like they did, and like if my parents didn't do what they did, then I could very easily been in the same position, and people could be passing judgment on me. So, to everybody out there, before you just assume that somebody is trying to use you or take advantage of you, think to yourself, what has led this person to eventually coming into this position of where they are asking you this? Why are they in the predicament that they're in? Was it due to family issues? Was it due to personal struggles? Was it just due to bad luck in general that has led them down the path that they are down? Because people don't wake up. Because people don't wake up one day thinking, "Hey, I'm gonna be, I'm gonna be like a homeless drug addict." There's many things that happen that lead to it. It's similar to like a domino effect, because like that gentleman at the car wash like was telling me, hey, that he struggled with mental, physical, and emotional abuse, and that's like the first domino right there, like that's set into place. Then you have so many people doing it over time. You got one domino hitting another, and it leads down a path of volatile, very destructive behavior. And people in those cases, they use very destructive coping mechanisms like drugs. Okay? And because from what I've told you guys before, like with my struggles, um, that I mainly use pills and porn as my ways of coping with my issues. They were destructive. They did no good. They did more harm than good. But due to what happened to me as a child, that led to me making those poor decisions. So, so with my personal, with my experiences in mind, I chose to take that into consideration with this gentleman at the car wash, and it broke my heart, because I mean, this man is he loves God, knows the Bible front to back, and he recognizes that God can get him out of this predicament. But he also recognizes that God is letting him in this position for a reason, for him to learn. That way, whenever he gets out, he will be stronger for it. So we were talking about it, and he said to me that I know God has put me in this for like a reason, and I know that I'm going to be the better person for it. But he said to me that I must also recognize that I have to use the tools that are at my disposal that God has given me. That way I can reach that potential and reach that brass ring, and like reach that goal that God has set in front of me for my life. Because guess what? You might be down in the dumps. You might be hitting rock bottom, but guess what? Like, the good part about it is that regardless of where you're at, no matter where you're at in life, God will always let you have the opportunity to hit that reset button and start over. Every single day that we wake up, that's an opportunity to hit the reset button, button, and start over. And where we come into play on that is that by doing things like random acts of kindness, okay, like with me and my wife getting that gentleman like the sandwich, the food, the drink, and all that, that could have potentially set into motion that gentleman in a positive direction of him realizing, hey, there's still good people out there. So like, that gives me hope. That gives me motivation. That leads me in the right direction. But all it takes is me calling upon God to do it. So those random acts of kindness towards your fellow brothers and sisters in God, those are crucial. Please don't look the other way. Please don't automatically jump to conclusions that people are trying to use you, because that's not always the case. And even if somebody is, think to yourself, hey, regardless, God's still going to bless me for going out of my way for somebody. Okay? That goes back to my brother-in-law. Yes, it's frustrating because me and my wife paying for him for the past 8.5 years. But I do know that during those times that me and my wife, we have never been homeless. We have never been hungry. We have never gone without. Because God continuously blesses us because we're doing the right thing. Because regardless of if that family member is a pain in the neck or not, guess what? We're all family. Okay? We all need to love each other. We all need to go that extra mile for one another. And random acts of kindness, that's where it could start. Okay? For example, let's say you walk into like a store and someone is like, let's say they got like they're buying like a thing of bread, sandwich meat, and a drink. Let's say like that costs $5. Let's say they're like 30 cents short. Would it harm you to reach into your pocket and give them that money? Because guess what? That can make their day. That can give them hope. And that can move them in a right direction in which that could change their lives. Just random acts of kindness, people. Okay? So, I mean, that's what God has put in my heart lately. Just going out of your way for people, even if you have second thoughts. Because don't put on the human secular hat and think to yourself, me, 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 me. Think to yourself and put on the God hat and think, God's already blessed me beyond belief. What can I do with my blessings to help bless others? So, I mean, that's a small example of what God has done for me lately, with giving me the opportunity to bless to bless other people. Which I'm extremely grateful for. Speaking of blessings and speaking of wonderful things, recently, within the past few weeks, my podcast has been added on to the Russo brand family channel on YouTube. That's right. I'm officially a member of the Russo brand now. I am so grateful. I'm so thankful because not only for Vince Russo, because he's the one that first inspired me through his podcast That's Life, but I want to thank Mike Durband for being a huge inspiration, Big Vito LaGrasso for being a huge inspiration, Miss Noelle LaGrasso, thank you so much for being a big inspiration. And Miss Chantel, thank you so much for taking a chance on me. And thank you for giving me the opportunity for me to be on a bigger platform so I can reach and so I can help inspire more people. That's just a beautiful thing. And just people taking those chances on me goes the whole thing back to what I'm talking about, random acts of kindness. Those people that have helped me, that have inspired me, they didn't have to do that, but they did. And guess what? That led me to where I am now. So please, to all of you out there, step out of your comfort zone and go out of your way to bless somebody with a random act of kindness. Because guess what? Those blessings that you give will come back in tenfold. And it's just such a beautiful thing. And once again, guys, thank you so much for being so supportive of me. Thank you so much for being so loving, so caring. And sorry that it's taken a good minute for me to get my latest episode out. But no, it's just been amazing. Within the future episodes, I'm gonna be focusing more on on bringing more people in, because I'm going to be doing more things like interviews. I have spoken to you guys saying that I am starting a brand new podcast called Family, Faith, and Football with one of my best friends, Kevin Tashuti. That will still happen, but it's a matter of getting everything on a schedule where me and him we can record. But no, just things have just been amazing. And speaking of podcasts, okay, there's like a lot of people that are asking me saying, "Hey, Chris, okay, what is your favorite podcast? What do you listen to like to get through the day?" Okay, because like for me, normally what I do is while I'm at work, I like to listen to my podcast because like not only do I get like my fix when it comes to things like politics, sports, wrestling, and faith, but it can also lift up my spirits, it can lift up my day, and just motivate me, brother. Brother and sisters that are listening, this stuff can motivate me, which I pray that it can motivate you, okay? My number one faith podcast that I listen to, it's from Elevation Church. Pastor Stephen Furtick. If I ever need like a spiritual pick-me-up, I just download like his podcast, which is available on all major platforms, and he just gives me that spiritual pick me up that can just help me get through my day and just make it better. Plus, on top of that, which I've mentioned it 1,000 times, but on the Russo Brand Network, my favorite podcast, hands down, it's called That's Life with Vince Russo. He's the main reason why I'm doing this right now, because through his podcast he's made me realize that I'm not average, that I'm not mediocre, that I'm special, that I can go above and beyond, and that I can make an impact on many, many lives. But I have to choose to take those steps, because we all have the ability, and we are all capable, and we all have the potential, but we have to take those steps in order to fulfill that potential. We can't be sitting on the sidelines thinking that things are going to get done and our dreams will be achieved by sitting on the sidelines. We got to get into the game called life. So Vince has been a big encouragement of that. So Vince Russo's That's Life. That is my favorite podcast that I listen to on every single Tuesday, which is available on the Realm Network. Plus, it's available on every available platform out there. Just look up the Vince Russo's brand. Plus, I am also a huge fan of the Triple Threat podcast with Shane Douglas, which like you guys are going to notice like a pattern like with me is that I'm like a huge wrestling mark. Yes, I'm admitting that I'm a huge wrestling mark. I'm a huge fan of wrestling because growing up, one of the few things that me and my father and my brother bonded over was wrestling. It was wrestling, football, and baseball. So if we weren't talking about football or baseball, we were talking about wrestling. So I mean, that just really hits home to me. So I mean, like the Triple Threat podcast, like with Shane Douglas, this gentleman is from. Shane Douglas is one of the most underappreciated, underrated wrestlers of all time. He's a former world champion in damn near every single federation that he's ever been in, and he is the prime example of what wrestlers of this era should strive to be. Not just not not just athletes, because like the majority of the wrestlers of this era, they are just pure athletes. They really don't know how to tell a story in the ring. It's just a bunch of gymnastics out there. But people like Shane Douglas, they make me appreciate the sport of pro wrestling when it comes to, don't just do a move for the sake of doing a move. You tell a story with every single punch, kick, suplex. Um, if you're taking somebody outside of the ring, there's a purpose for that, so you can add to the overall story and arc of what you of what you're trying to tell the audience in the ring. Um, so Shane Douglas is one of my favorites of all time for doing that. So I absolutely love like his podcast. Um, Plus, on top of that, the comedians of wrestling with Dan Black, which Dan Black is a he's a famous comedian that was trained in the Upright Citizens Brigade, which back in like the 90s on 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 Comedy Central, this that group, they had like their own TV show. So I mean, like, which I don't know, like if many of you out there, like if you're fans of comedy groups, like like Kids in the Hall, or like the Second City Saints, or like the Groundlings, but they are in that category. So I mean, Dan is a very, very funny guy, very, very, very smart, very, very well informed about like the wrestling business, and he makes someone like me proud, even as a 30-year-old, to say that I love wrestling, that I'm a proud adult wrestling fan. So for Dan, if you ever get the opportunity like to listen to this podcast, thank you so much, brother. Um, and which like that podcast, which is called Comedians of Wrestling, that is also available on all major platforms. Um, and just whenever it comes to just other podcasts, I am a huge, huge, huge fan of the Mike Durban show, because it's like a variety show. Not only does he talk about wrestling, but he talks about sports, music, culture, life in general, and it's a very fast paced, very entertaining show, which I encourage all of you like to listen to. Which I was actually featured on, I believe it was episode number 3, which is also available on all major podcasting platforms as well. But it's on the Vince Russo brand, so like just look that up as well. Enough about like my favorite podcast, things that get me going, things that motivate me. But I just want like to let all of you know that if you could keep my family in your prayers, because I'll be honest with you, my wife has not been doing that well lately, and that she's suffering from like a skin condition that is causing her great discomfort, and it's causing her just it's well, it's like a battle on like a daily basis, and due to our situation, with us being like lower class, from like a financial perspective, we don't have like a lot of money, and like the God honest truth is that our health insurance won't pay for her to go see a dermatologist. So can you guys just please pray for my wife, please pray for my family, and just get the word out there, because I know, yes, yes, being able to see the doctor would be nice, but if we are not able to, I am a firm believer that God can heal her. So please pray for my wife. Um, and just guys, just thank you so much for your time. Um, I'm greatly appreciative of it. And this past week was WrestleMania, baby. That's right, WrestleMania 35, and which I'm gonna be honest with you guys. The match of the night was hands down Daniel Bryan versus Kofi Kingston for the WWE Championship. And it's matches like that have wonderful storytelling and great athleticism that make me love the sport. And just that like was the match of the night. Now that was one of the pros. Now, like the pros of it is that like there was like a few good matches. Some cons of it is that there wasn't really a lot of storylines going b- behind the matches. A bunch of the matches were just thrown together for the sake of filler. Um, and then on top of that, WrestleMania with the pre-show was over 8 hours long. Yes, I am a huge wrestling fan, but by God, that is way too long. Back in my day growing up, WrestleMania was 2.5 to 3 hours long, which like for me, like the God honest truth is that is more than enough. And with and like with us living in a social justice era, and with us living in a era where everybody gets participation trophies and no one's feelings gets hurt, this is starting to bleed over to like the world of pro wrestling. Meaning, literally, 98% of the roster got a match at the event. And it's frustrating because honestly, sorry, but I'm not going to invest 8 hours in watching a bunch of people that quite frankly don't deserve to be on the card because they're not the best. WrestleMania is meant for the best, the elite, and yes, those were on there, but there were times between the show that I was fast forwarding, thinking to myself, why am I wasting my time? So, yes, with the pre-show, the show was over 8 hours long. The best match was Kofi Kingston versus Daniel Bryan. Batista, with all due respect to him, his match with Triple H, it shouldn't have happened. The both of them look like dinosaurs in the ring. But I do also want to say that like my second favorite match was the Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match where the Usos came out on top to retain the SmackDown Tag Team titles. That was a fun match right there. Plus, also, I'm happy that Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins, they won the Raw Tag Team titles. Long overdue, very well deserved. These gentlemen bust their butt. They work hard. They are great storytellers, great athletes, and they deserve a bigger spot than what they are in. But unfortunately, due to bullcrap and politics in the world of wrestling, unfortunately, sometimes the best get held down, and like the best get held back. which which I don't know. I mean, that's just the way it is. So, but no, but also I was sitting back thinking, with like my Baltimore Ravens, as like a lot of you know, that I'm a die-hard Ravens fan. That's right, a hardcore Baltimore Ravens fan. But I'm a little bit pessimistic about this year because honestly, we got rid of a lot of people. I mean, don't get me wrong, we got um we we got Mark Ingram from the Saints. We got Earl Thomas from the Seahawks, but like we lost Eric Weddle. We lost C.J. Mosley. We lost Michael Crabtree. We lost Terrell Suggs. We lost Joe Flacco. We lost John Brown. I mean, just a bunch of people left. So, like, it's got me concerned. But at the same time, though, like, we are a fairly decent, good team when it comes to drafting. So I definitely hope through the draft that we can start to rebuild and work on the championship caliber team that I know we can be. Because before I die, I want my Ravens to like at least win one more Super Bowl, which I don't think that's asking for too much. Because by God, my Baltimore Orioles, at the pace that they're going, that ain't gonna happen. Because like their last championship was back in 1983, and Cal Ripken Jr.'s rookie year, and guess what? Their last championship, that's going to stay that way for like a long time because unfortunately, until the Orioles change ownership, nothing's going to change. And which I've been a fan of the Baltimore Orioles since I moved to Baltimore, Maryland back in 1996, and it's been extremely tough and painful because like we've always been so close in certain seasons, and we're so close to reaching and getting that brass ring, so to speak, and getting that championship, and it just doesn't happen. So I mean, it's similar to being like a Browns or a Jets fan. Okay, it's you're basically choosing like to willingly torture yourself, but due to loyalty, you stick around. So yes. Um, and speaking of loyalty and speaking of good things, there's people in my life that have made a huge impact on me. And someone that I do want to recognize is back in high school. I, I, I was in a which I which I have learning disabilities, which I have trouble with 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 comprehending numbers and like with other things. Basically, I struggled with a severe case of attention deficit disorder, and they put me in a group called Learning Support. No, no, I wasn't in like a slow class, but because they had me in like the normal, like the normal classes that like the rest of the kids went to, but due to like my learning disabilities, they gave me the opportunity to access teachers that were very understanding of my disabilities, and they could get the best out of me, knowing what to say or what to do, like to help me. And which like the main person that has been a huge influence on me, even though I hardly don't talk to her anymore, but like we're still friends on Facebook, is Mrs. Lupinacci. Back in the day, this before she got married. It was Miss Burns. She was my main learning support teacher from ninth through 12th grade, and with the exception of my parents, no one believed in me more than her. Um, Whenever people like would doubt me, and whenever people like would say to me, "Hey, you're not going to amount to anything," she was one of the people that knew deep down that I had the potential to do great things, that I had the potential to make a huge, huge impact on this world. And and there were times that I took her for granted because I didn't work as hard as I should have. Because honestly, like my first 2 years of high school, I literally cared more about socializing and fitting in and being cool than I did my studies. Then I realized come like my junior year, unless I passed every single class coming up for like the next 2 years, then I wouldn't have graduated. So like so, but like this whole entire time, from the me being lazy to taking her for granted to me flipping that switch, she always had that confidence in me and saying, "Hey, Chris, you're very capable of doing this. Yes, it's frustrating right now, but I know that you're going to get to that point to where you can fulfill that potential," because she never gave up on me. And and which is crazy because my junior year of high school, um, I met, well, okay, not that I met, but I became even closer with like my three best friends, Tim, Kevin, and Justin. Okay, Tim and Kevin, they would take me to youth group on like a weekly basis. So like me switching and doing better in school, that went that went along with me finding God, because I quickly discovered by finding Jesus that me fitting in and me being cool and me trying to do this and being fake won't benefit me whatsoever. Because I'm thinking to myself, why is me buying these new pair of jeans, or like me getting this new shirt or new shoes, why am I trying so hard to impress people when I know that they can just accept me for me or just not accept me at all? And that's what me finding God taught me. And through that, it made me appreciate what Miss Lupinacci did for me even more. Um, and from then on, after I found Jesus, it was like a 180 with my studies, because I went from like a D average student to getting like B's, A's, B's, and C's, and it frustrates me because I went from having like a literally like a point 0.4 average, point 0.4, yes, a point 0.4 average to like a 2.3, and I'm kicking myself in the butt because I realize if I just would have listened to her from ninth grade on, and if I would have fulfilled my potential then I could have probably got a scholarship to almost any school that I want, like within reason. And not saying that I haven't accomplished a lot since high school, because I have. Because I became a ordained minister. I have a I have an associate's in culinary, and associates in ministry. But I think to myself, what if only only if I knew then what I know now. It's kind of like the hindsight, like it's 2020 thing. And yes, I am grateful because I have my house, my wife, two beautiful kids, a good job. Things are going well for me. But if I would have been smarter back then. But at the same time, though, that's got to do with the whole thing with being a teenager. Like with us learning, like with us growing, like we're gonna get to the point to where like we're gonna think to ourselves, hey, if I only knew then what I know now. Um, and Miss Lupinacci, she was literally like my mom at school, and and it's crazy because I am. She would tell me things, and which I would think to myself, she she's just telling me this because she's trying to take the fun out of stuff, right? Because like as kids and like as teenagers, we have a tendency like to think that like the figure that like these adults, these parent figures, they're they're just trying to they're just trying to hold us down, like they're trying to take the fun out of things, but they're simply trying to help you based off their experiences so you don't make the same bad choices that they made. And which like I said, that that I started to see after I became a Christian in my junior year of high school, and that's whenever I started to appreciate her more, and I started to and I started to be more grateful for what my mom and dad did, like with them going out of their way for me as well. Um, but I just want like to let everybody here know, if you have that one special teacher out there and they are still here, please go out of your way, like, please go out of your way, like, and say thank you. Because back to our first talk at the beginning of this podcast, random acts of kindness and going out of your way for somebody even if they don't deserve it. Teachers, especially the good ones, they do that constantly. Even when we don't deserve it, they still love us, they still care for us, and they still go that extra mile, like to make sure that we can fulfill our potential. And Miss Lupinacci, her first name is Jennifer. Um, she's the one that made the biggest impact on me. So, Jennifer, thank you so much for everything you've done for me. Um, I still, to this day, am very grateful. And my mom and dad, they're not here right now. But up until my dad passed away, and my mom as well, they were always grateful for what you did for me. So thank you. And to everybody out there, like I said, please, if you have that person that or that teacher at school that made that huge impact on you and they're still here, you tell them thank you. If you have that person that saw that potential in you when no one else did, you tell them thank you. And just and you have the potential to be that person for somebody else, and you have the potential to make that impact on that person and change their lives, and they will remember you for the rest of their lives, knowing that, hey, those were one of the people that were pivotal to my life when it comes to helping and shaping and molding where I am and where I was going to go and where I am going. So, like, for this week, that's that that's the one person that I wanted to spotlight and say thank you so much, Jennifer Lupinacci, my learning support teacher from 9th through 12th grade. You were loving towards me, kind towards me, a fantastic teacher, and you were most of all patient, and you saw that I could do great things. Thank you. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. Um, and guys, I know this has been kind of like a wacky, wacky odd episode, but it's all going back to like the one major theme: going out of your way for somebody, even if they don't deserve it, because ultimately, at the end of the day, it's the right thing to do. Because at the time, you might not see the potential in the person, or you might. But if you don't, God does. And it's those random acts of kindness that can lead to a life-changing moment for those individuals. So guys, thank you so much for your love. Thank you so much for your patience. Sorry that it's taken like a good minute like to get like another podcast out, because like I said, just dealing with things like work, family, and just flat out being freaking depressed. It's not been fun. So if you guys have that special person that you know that has changed your life, share it with me. Let me know what kind of impact they have made on you, because I love to hear from you. And since I'm on YouTube now, on like the Russo family brand, please like my videos, please comment my videos, view my videos, because I'm on YouTube on the Russo family channel. I'm on Anchor, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, all major podcasting platforms, plus the YouTube with the Russo family channel. So please continue to support me, and please don't just let the words that I'm telling you go in one ear and out the other, because these words are coming from my heart, and I truly pray that they can make an impact on you. If you want to let me talking about wrestling and speak about like podcasts, like the wrestling podcast and stuff like that, if you want to let that go out the window and let it go in one ear and out the other, that's fine. But when it comes to people believing in you and you going out of your way for somebody else because it's the right thing to do, please take that to heart. Please take that to heart. So guys, thank you so much for your time. I cannot wait for you to listen to this. I am going to be more vigilant and about recording more often. Just things have been hectic, like I said. So just guys, just thank you so much for everything. I want to thank like my wife, my kids, Mr. Vince Russo, Vito LaGrasso, Noel LaGrasso, Mike Durban, Chantel Air. And if I missed you, then I'm sorry because that's not on purpose. It's just my mind's kind of running blank at the moment. But no, guys, thank you so much for joining me tonight. And I definitely hope, pray that you guys have a safe, blessed, happy, joyful week, day, and night. Alright, thank you and God bless. And thank you for joining me with this edition of Inspired with Christopher.